Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. My name is Jordan Whitaker. I am 41 years old, a real estate agent who has seen 1,000 kitchens, 1,000 smiles that did not reach the eyes, and, more times than I care to admit, the way a house tour turns into a referendum on a couple's future. The day started like any other Tuesday. I had just finished showing a 3-bedroom ranch house to a young couple in Raleigh who could not stop arguing about granite countertops. Nothing unusual there. After 12 years in real estate, you learn that house hunting either draws people together or exposes the cracks they have tried to ignore. Those two were definitely discovering the latter. I pulled into my driveway around 6:30 in the evening, already thinking about dinner and catching the game. But something felt off the moment I walked through the front door. The house was too quiet yet charged with a strange energy, like the air before a thunderstorm. "Honey, I am home," I called, hanging my keys on the hook by the door, setting my briefcase down as I listened for the usual clink of dishes or the hum of the television. "In here," my wife said from the living room, but her voice sounded different, higher-pitched, almost theatrical. I walked in to find Sabrina, perched on the edge of our couch with her hands clasped in her lap, beaming with a smile that did not quite reach her eyes. The coffee table had been moved an inch forward, the throw pillows arranged like a stage set. Everything about the scene felt rehearsed. "You are never going to believe what happened today," Sabrina said, practically bouncing in her seat. "Try me," I said, standing just a few feet away, studying her face. There was an intensity there, the kind you get when someone has prepared lines in a play and is waiting for applause. She reached behind a throw pillow and pulled out a pregnancy test, holding it up as if it were a winning lottery ticket. "We are having a baby." The words hung in the air. For exactly 3 seconds, I felt genuine confusion. Then my mind slipped into perfect focus. 7 years ago, after my divorce from my first wife and watching my 2 children struggle through that upheaval, I made a decision that I had never once regretted. I got a vasectomy. Clean, simple, permanent. I was 34, I had my son and daughter from my first marriage, and I was done. No more children, no more complications. When I met Sabrina 2 years later, she had been adamant that she never wanted children. The timing would ruin everything. She used to say, "I want to travel, focus on my career, enjoy our freedom." I thought we were on the same page. I never saw a reason to mention the procedure because we both agreed, no children. Yet here she was, presenting a pregnancy like a triumph, like a plot twist. Her smile, her posture, the rearranged room, it all clicked. The late nights she had been putting in at her marketing job in downtown Raleigh. The mysterious phone calls that ended the moment I stepped into the room. The distance that grew between us these past 3 months. The new interest in my work schedule, always asking when I would be home late. She searched my face closely, analyzing every micro-expression to see if I was buying her performance. "Oh my goodness," I said, making sure my voice trembled in the right place. This is incredible." Relief washed over her face. "Hook, line, and sinker," she thought. "I know, right?" Sabrina said, brightening. "I'm still in shock myself. I mean, we always said we did not want children, but sometimes life has other plans. Sometimes God has bigger plans for us." "God's plans," I repeated, nodding as if I were absorbing an earthquake. "You know what? You are right. This changes everything." "It does," she said, and the words came quicker. "We will need to think about finances, about getting a bigger place. Babies are expensive. You will probably need to pick up more showings, maybe some weekends." There it was, the financial angle sliding out of the sleeve of her performance like a hidden card. She was not only trying to trap me with a pregnancy, she was planning how to milk me dry while she did it. "You know what?" I said, standing up slowly. "This is such incredible news that I think I should share something with you, too. Something I have kept to myself." Sabrina's smile twitched. Uncertainty flickered in her eyes. "What do you mean?" "Hold that thought," I said. "I will be right back. I have something that will make this day even more surprising." I walked down the hallway to our bedroom, opened my filing cabinet, and took out a manila folder I had not needed in years but had never thrown away. Medical records, the vasectomy, the follow-up tests, the confirmation of sterility. When I returned, Sabrina was sitting stiffly, her hands flat against her knees. She tried to keep her expression open and excited, but there was a crack running through it now. I sat across from her, the folder in my lap. Funny how life works out, I said in a tone that made her sit even straighter. Here you are, telling me about God's plans and unexpected pregnancies. I opened the folder and slid out the documents. And I have some news of my own. Sabrina went pale. 7 years ago, before I ever met you, I had a vasectomy, I said calmly. It was medically verified, documented, and confirmed with follow-up testing. I held up the papers. It is not possible for me to father a child. The pregnancy test slipped from her hand and clattered onto the coffee table. So, I said, and let the silence do some of the talking, here's my question. Who is he? Silence settled between us like a thick curtain, only the soft hum of the refrigerator filling the space. Sabrina's face stuttered through emotions. Shock, panic, calculation, then right back to panic. That is not possible, she whispered. The test is positive. I am pregnant. It has to be yours. Medical science says otherwise, I said. Vasectomies are extremely effective, and mine was confirmed multiple times. I softened the edge of my voice only a fraction. I will ask again. Who is he? This is insane, she said, her voice rising a note. You are accusing me of cheating based on an old procedure. Doctors make mistakes. Maybe it failed after all these years. Maybe, I said, as though considering it. Or maybe you have been lying to me for months. Sabrina stood abruptly, the pregnancy test rolling onto the carpet. How can you even think that? How can you accuse me of something so horrible? I would never. Cut the act, I said, and the sharpness in my voice sliced the air. The late nights. The phone calls that end when I walk in. The questions about my schedule. The distance. Do you think I'm stupid? Those are coincidences, she said, trying to get her control back. I have been working on a big campaign. The calls are clients. You are being paranoid. Paranoid. I lifted the top page of the medical file and then set it back down. You just announced a pregnancy that is medically impossible and expected me to gear up my bank account for it. And when presented with proof that it cannot be mine, you start talking about divine intervention. Her eyes darted around the room like she was looking for an exit that did not exist. We should see a doctor together, she said hurriedly. Get a second opinion. Maybe. Do not bring God into your deception, I said evenly. You used that as cover when you thought I would swallow the lie. She tried another angle, her eyes glistening. Honey, please. I know this is shocking, but we can work through it. Maybe the procedure was not as effective as you thought. These things happen. We just need to. Stop, I said. The word landed like a gavel. Do not insult my intelligence any further. I stepped closer and lowered my voice. You have one chance to tell me the truth, because I am about to start making calls. When I start digging, everything is coming out anyway. Every lie, every secret, every time you thought you were clever. Her hands trembled. You are scaring me. Good, I said. Because attempting to commit paternity fraud is not just vile. It can be illegal in many places. So here's how this works. You're going to sit down and tell me everything. Who is he? How long? And how, exactly, did you think you were going to pull this off? The hardness in my voice broke something in her posture. She sank back onto the couch and stared at the floor for a long time, calculating and recalculating, finding no equation that gave her a way out. It is not what you think, she said finally. Then tell me what it is. She looked up, genuine fear in her eyes. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. But it was not supposed to happen like this. Who is he? There was another long pause. Her voice came out so softly I almost missed it. Anthony Brooks. From my office. Anthony Brooks. I knew the name. She had mentioned him in passing. The creative director at her marketing firm in Raleigh. Married. 2 children. How long? 3 months, she whispered. 3 months, I repeated. So the entire pregnancy timeline aligns with when you started acting different. Sabrina nodded miserably. And you thought what? I asked. That you could pin it on me and I would never figure it out. I was not thinking clearly, she said, tears starting to spill in a way that felt more unguarded than before. I was scared and stupid and greedy, I said. Do not forget greedy. You were already talking about me working weekends and picking up extra shifts to support a child that is not mine. Her eyes flicked up to mine with a fragile kind of hope. But we can fix this. We can work through this. It was a mistake and fix this. I stared at her. You try to trap me into raising another man's child. You try to commit fraud. You have been lying to me for 3 months. What exactly do you think there is to fix? Hope drained out of her face like someone had pulled a plug. Then, as if the thought finally unfurled inside my mind, I asked, You said Anthony. He is married, is he not? She nodded without looking at me. So you destroyed our marriage for a man who is not going to leave his wife. That is just perfect. The reality of her situation was starting to crystallize. I could see it in her face. The married lover who would run for the hills when he learned about the pregnancy. The husband she tried to deceive who now knew everything. The web that was collapsing. I was not done. Let me ask you something else, I said, pacing slowly. Are you absolutely certain Anthony is the father? The question hit her like a brick. She stared at me, color draining. What do you mean? I mean, if you were willing to lie to me for 3 months, to sleep with someone else, to try and pin the child on me, why would Anthony believe he is the only one? Her silence told me everything. There is someone else, I said. Who? She buried her face in her hands. Oh God, do not bring God into this. I did not raise my voice, but it cut through the room, clean as glass. How many men are we talking about? 2, she sobbed. Just 2. Just 2, I repeated. So, you do not even know who the father is. You are going to force me to raise a child, upend my finances, change my life, and you do not even know whose child it is. It was a mistake, she cried. Everything got confusing and... Stop calling it a mistake, I said. A mistake is putting salt in your coffee instead of sugar. This is betrayal. This is fraud. This is calculated deception. I stepped to the window and looked out at our quiet street in North Raleigh. Normal families setting out trash bins, porch lights flicking on one by one. Inside our house, my wife had turned us into a soap opera. Who was the other man? I asked without turning. She hesitated so long I thought she would refuse. Then she whispered, Corey Webb. I turned back. The name meant nothing to me. Who is Corey Webb? He is a trainer at my gym, Sabrina said miserably. Your gym, I said slowly. The gym you joined 3 months ago because you suddenly wanted to get in shape. She nodded. So, I said, you joined a gym, started sleeping with your trainer, also started sleeping with Anthony from work, got pregnant, and decided the best solution was to trick your husband into believing it was his. Does that sound accurate? When you say it like that, it sounds exactly like what it is, I said. You made our marriage a joke while I was working to build a life with you. I returned to the chair across from her, and the anger I had felt shifted into something even heavier, disgust. You know the worst part? I said quietly. I loved you. I thought we were partners. I thought we were building something together. I love you, Sabrina said desperately. That is why we can work through this. People make mistakes, and if we just... I raised a hand. Do not insult me again. You do not love me. You love my stability. You love having a paycheck you can reshape into a safety net. You love a man who will cover for your recklessness. That is not love. She opened her mouth, then closed it, the words deserting her for the first time. Here is what is going to happen, I said, my voice steady. You're going to pack your things. You're going to leave my house tonight. This marriage is over. No, she said, standing so fast she bumped the coffee table. You cannot just throw away 3 years of marriage over this. We can go to counseling. I will end things with both of them. I will do whatever it takes. How generous, I said with a small, humorless laugh. You will stop cheating on me if I agree to raise another man's child. I will get a paternity test, she said quickly. We will figure out who the father is. And then what? I asked. You will crawl to whichever one it is. Do you think Anthony is going to wreck his family for you? Do you think Corey is looking to settle down with someone who got pregnant while married? The reality settled deeper, and I watched it take root in her eyes. She had burned every bridge. Please, she said, quieter. Do not do this. I have nowhere to go. You should have thought about that before you detonated our marriage, I said. You made your choices. You get the consequences. But I am pregnant, she said, crying harder. You cannot throw a pregnant woman out. Watch me, I said and stood. You have 2 hours to pack what you can carry. Everything else we will sort out through lawyers. Her voice cracked. You are really going to divorce me? I'm not going to divorce you, I said. I already am divorcing you. This conversation is a courtesy. I moved toward the kitchen, and her last question stopped me. What am I supposed to do? I turned back. She sat on the couch with the pregnancy test in her hand, tears cutting tracks down her face. But they were no longer theatrical. They were the tears of someone who finally understood she had destroyed her life. Honestly, I said, I do not care what you do. You are not my problem anymore. 2 weeks later, I was in my office reviewing property listings for a commercial deal in Durham when my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something in me wanted to see which thread would tug next. Hello, I said. Is this Jordan Whitaker? The voice was cautious. It is. This is Anthony Brooks. I think we need to talk. I leaned back in my chair. This would be interesting. What can I do for you, Anthony? Look, he said, words tumbling out. I heard about what happened. About the situation. I need you to know I had no idea she was going to try something like that. Something like what exactly? I asked. He paused, trying to pin the pregnancy on you. A laugh caught in my throat. That is comforting. Go on. I did not know she was married when this started, Anthony said. She told me she was separated. She said you two were living apart, that the paperwork was almost done. I never would have gotten involved if I had known the truth. Well, now you know, I said. What do you want from me? Nothing, he said quickly. I wanted you to know I'm done with her. Completely done. When she told me about the pregnancy, and then about what she tried to do to you, I cannot be part of that. So you are abandoning her too? I asked. I am protecting my family, he said, voice tightening. My wife. My children. She lied to both of us. After he hung up, I sat there a moment. Anthony had thrown Sabrina under the bus faster than I expected. That left Corey, the trainer. I did not have to wait long. My neighbor Harold mentioned seeing a moving truck the day after I told Sabrina to leave. She had gone to her sister Serena's place across town in Garner, but the arrangement had not lasted. A week later, I ran into a guy I knew at the coffee shop near Cameron Village, Devin Walsh, who worked at the same gym Sabrina had joined. He tossed his cup and asked, Is that your wife who was seeing Corey at our gym? Ex-wife, I said. And yes. Devin shook his head. Man, that situation blew up. Corey wanted nothing to do with her once he learned she was married and pregnant. He has a girlfriend he has been with for 2 years. She works the front desk sometimes. Your ex said she was single. When the truth came out, Corey's girlfriend almost fought her in the parking lot. We had to call security. Management banned your ex permanent. Banned from the gym. Of course. Anthony cut contact to protect his marriage. Corey cut contact to protect his relationship. Sabrina was pregnant, unstable, and running out of places to land. A few days later, I got a call from her former boss, Tanisha Phillips. I am calling as a professional courtesy, Tanisha said. I wanted you to know we had to let Sabrina go. Let her go. I asked. The situation with Anthony created a hostile work environment, Tanisha said. He has been with us for years and has a family. She was a junior account executive. When everything came to light, her affair with a married colleague, the lies about her situation, it became a disruption. Nathan's wife called. Excuse me. Anthony's wife called, the office demanding answers. It became a mess. What exactly came to light? I asked. That she was creating chaos in the team and lying repeatedly, Tanisha said flatly. I also heard what she tried to do to you with the pregnancy claim. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. I appreciate the call, I said. For what it is worth, Tanisha said. I do not think anyone here will provide a positive reference after this. By the time I hung up, the full picture had formed. In 3 months, Sabrina had managed to destroy her marriage, her home, her job, and both outside relationships. For what? Adrenaline and attention. The last piece came from an unexpected source. Her sister called me directly. She cannot stay with me anymore, Serena said without preamble. I understand, I said carefully. She lied to me, Serena said. She told me you threw her out for no reason, that you were controlling and abusive. Then Anthony called me trying to find her after she started showing up at his office. His company got a restraining order. A restraining order? I said, stunned. She has lost it, Serena said. She thought Anthony would leave his wife. When he would not, she tried to pay a private investigator to find dirt on Anthony's wife. Maxed out credit cards. The investigator took the money and told her there was nothing to find. I sat at my kitchen table that night and stared at my glass of water, thinking about the woman I had married. 3 years, and I never saw she was capable of this. She had gambled everything on a doomed plan, and now she was alone. No husband, no job, no home, no support, and a pregnancy neither man wanted to claim. A week later, the doorbell rang while I was grilling in the backyard. I was not expecting anyone. When I opened the door, I found someone I had never expected to see on my porch. "Erica," I said, genuinely surprised. My ex-wife stood there with a small, careful smile. "Hi," she said. "Can we talk?" Erica and I had been divorced for 8 years. We had managed to keep things decent for the sake of our children. She had remarried a good man named Terrell, and they seemed happy. This was the first time she had shown up unannounced. "Of course," I said. "Come in." She stepped into the living room and looked around. The last time she had been in that room, it still held traces of a home that included Sabrina. "I heard about what happened," Erica said, sitting. "Miles told me. My son, 17 and stoic, did not volunteer much unless something mattered." "What exactly did Miles tell you?" "That your wife tried to pass off another man's child as yours, and you had medical proof she was lying," Erica said, shaking her head. I had to hear it from our son because I did not believe it at first. I sat down opposite her, a tiredness sliding into my bones. "That is about the size of it." "I am sorry," Erica said, and the sympathy in her voice was unfeigned. "I know you wanted that marriage to work." "It is done," I said. "Are you all right?" she asked, and the question startled me by how direct and kind it was. "I am getting there," I said honestly. "Good," she said, leaning forward. "I want you to know something. What she did was unforgivable. Absolutely unforgivable. Miles and Ava feel the same way." "They do?" I asked. "They are furious," Erica said. "Ava especially. She likes Sabrina. She thought she had a stepmother who cared about family. When she found out the truth, I have never seen Ava so angry." Ava was 15, quick to laugh and quicker to defend people she loved. I could imagine her eyes flashing. "Miles has been worried about you," Erica continued. "He wanted to come over, but was not sure if you wanted to talk. You know how he gets with emotional things. He does not have to worry about me," I said. "Yes, he does," Erica said with a small smile. "He is proud of you," he said, and I quote, "Dad did not let her play him like a fool. He saw through it and kicked her out. That is how a man should handle betrayal." Something in my chest loosened. I had been afraid of how this would change my children's view of me. Now, I felt it strengthen instead. "Ava said something similar," Erica added. "She said she was proud to have a father who would not let someone take advantage of him." "I appreciate that," I said. Erica stood, walked to the window, then turned. "When we got divorced, I was angry. But looking back, we just grew apart. We did not lie. We did not try to hurt each other. What Sabrina did, this is not just the end of a marriage. This is betrayal at a level I cannot comprehend." "It is over," I said. "Is it?" Erica asked gently. "Miles told me she has been trying to contact you." I had not told anyone, but apparently nothing gets past teenagers. "She has called a few times. Sent text messages. I do not respond." "Good," Erica said firmly. "Do not. There is no coming back from what she tried to do." We talked for another hour. She told me both kids wanted to spend more time at my place to make sure I was all right. She offered help during the divorce proceedings and said she would testify as a character witness if needed. "To say you are a good man and a good father," she said. And that what she did was completely out of line. "If anyone tries to paint you as the villain for asking a pregnant woman to leave, I will correct the record." After Erica left, the house did not feel empty. It felt supported, somehow. My phone buzzed with a text from Miles. "Dad, if you need anything, just call. Proud of you." Another from Ava. "Love you. You deserve so much better." The next evening, Miles showed up with a pizza and his laptop. "Thought I would do homework here," he said casually, but there was concern behind the casual tone. "You do not need to babysit me," I said. "I am not babysitting," he said, sitting at the kitchen island. "Also, Mom is making Terrell watch a romantic comedy tonight. Algebra is an escape." We ate pizza and talked about everything except the situation. The normality was exactly what I needed. As he packed his bag, Miles looked at me. "You know, I'm glad this happened now." "That is an odd take," I said, half laughing. "Explain." "Imagine if you found out after the baby was born," he said. "Imagine years of raising a child that was not yours before the truth came out. At least now you know. You protected yourself." I stood there, marveling at the way a 17-year-old could speak with that kind of clarity. "You were right," I said. He grinned. "Also, we now know your instincts are still sharp. You saw right through it." After he left, I realized the day I thought was the worst of my life had been a blessing in disguise. Not because of Sabrina's betrayal, but because of the truth it revealed. I had people who truly cared about me. My ex-wife came to help. My children stood proud. Over the next weeks, my days sharpened into a new routine. Work pulled me forward. The Raleigh market was hot, and without the strain of covering for someone else's chaos, I found my focus returning like a well-tuned instrument. I met with my attorney, Reginald Hayes, in his office near Fayetteville Street. He was calm and thorough, a man who asked surgical questions and wasted no words. "We will file irreconcilable differences," he said. "We will attach the evidence you have. Keep everything in writing. Do not respond to her emotionally. Only through counsel." "Understood," I said. "One more thing," Reginald added. "If she pushes a claim about support or tries to leverage sympathy, we will address it, but the facts are on your side. You will need to be steady. These cases often turn on who remains calm." "I can do calm," I said, and did not add that sometimes calm requires clenching your jaw so hard your teeth ache. The calls from Sabrina became sporadic, then frantic, then quiet. A middle-of-the-night voicemail where she whispered, "I miss you, Jordan. Please call me." A text message the next day that said, "We can still fix this." Another a week later that read, "You do not have to be cruel." I did not reply. I forwarded them to Reginald and went on a morning run around Shelley Lake, the rhythm of my feet counting out a new resolve. Then came the message I did not expect. Ava, after school, standing in the doorway with her backpack and her chin set. "Sabrina showed up at my bus stop today," she said. I felt a pressure behind my eyes. "Are you serious? What did she say?" "She said she wanted to talk to you," Ava said. "She said she made a mistake. I told her she needed to leave." A teacher came over, and Sabrina walked away. "I am fine." I took a breath. "I am proud of you for handling that." "I did not want to see her," Ava said, voice steady. "I did not want her near us." "She will not be," I said, texting Reginald and Erica the details. A few days later, Serena called again. "She is not thinking clearly," Serena said. "She told me she went to Ava's bus stop. I told her she cannot do that. I urged her to get counseling. She does not listen." "Thank you for telling me," I said. "I know this is hard on you too." "I love my sister," Serena said, voice strained. "But I will not enable this. I am sorry for what she did to you, Jordan." Spring slid toward summer. Work stayed good. I closed a large deal in Durham and helped a young couple buy their first house in Cary. Miles made varsity basketball and, at my suggestion, took an internship with a small property management company for the summer. Ava joined me for a Saturday of showings, peppering me with questions about mortgage pre-approvals and commissions that made me laugh. The house was quieter, but the quiet was clean. I slept better. I ate better. I turned the extra bedroom into a home office, and there was something oddly healing about assembling a new desk with a socket wrench while music played in the background. A month later, at a neighborhood barbecue in North Hills, I met someone. It was not a lightning strike, just a conversation beside the picnic table and the kind of smile that made the rest of the noise recede. Her name was Naomi Sinclair. She taught English at a high school in Cary and was also raising 2 children. "Real estate must be a study in human behavior," Naomi said as we flipped burgers. "It is," I said. "Kitchens reveal more than personality tests." We laughed. We kept talking. There was no game in the way she listened, no performance in the way she spoke. "You seem like you recently set down something heavy," Naomi said eventually. "Not fishing, merely observing." "I did," I said. "I am rebuilding in a better way." We exchanged numbers and agreed to coffee. We did not rush. We talked about books and how teenagers communicate in shrug codes. We talked about boundaries and respect. The difference from what I had lived through was night and day. "You seem lighter," Miles said, after meeting her with the faux indifference he uses to hide his curiosity. "Like you are actually enjoying yourself." "I am," I said simply. 2 weeks later, I ran into Serena in the grocery store on Wake Forest Road. She stood by the bakery section, looking tired. "She is struggling," Serena said without greeting, and I knew who she meant. Single mother, a studio apartment off Capitol Boulevard, a call center job that barely covers the bills. The baby's father wants nothing to do with either of them. "I am sorry," I said, and I meant it. I did not wish misery on anyone, not even Sabrina. She asks about you sometimes, Serena said. Wonders if you think about her. I do not, I said. Serena nodded. I figured. For what it is worth, I think she understands now what she threw away. But understanding is not the same as deserving forgiveness. No, I said. It is not. Months passed. My attorney sent updates as filings worked their way through the system. I focused on work, on my children, on running by the lake, on not allowing bitterness to calcify. Summer turned into early fall. One Thursday afternoon, I was signing the last documents for a commercial property in Durham when my phone lit up with Reginald's name. Divorce is finalized, Reginald said. She did not contest anything. Good, I said, not triumphant, just steadied. Also, he added carefully, I thought you'd want to know. She had the baby last week. A boy. I felt nothing sharp. No curiosity, no regret. A door closed is a door closed. Paternity test confirmed it was Corey's, Reginald said. He signed away parental rights immediately. Anthony was never a candidate once the dates were clear. Understood, I said. After I hung up, I looked out my office window at a sky that had rinsed itself clean after rain. My life had accelerated in ways I did not expect. Without the drain of supporting chaos, the money I saved in 6 months exceeded the previous 2 years. Miles received an acceptance letter to his first-choice college with a partial scholarship. Ava, the planner, pinned a list of her goals to the corkboard above her desk. Maybe I will get my real estate license after college and work with you, she said one evening while we cooked dinner. I would like that, I said, flipping vegetables in the pan. You would be good at it. Meanwhile, Erica and I found a new rhythm. Co-parenting turned into a true collaboration. Terrell came over one Saturday to help me fix a door that stuck in the upstairs hallway, and we ended up talking about basketball and the strange relief of trusting the people connected to your children. It is rare, Terrell said, tightening a hinge. Adults functioning like adults. Feels like a superpower, I said, and he laughed. Naomi and I continued seeing each other, deliberately slow. There were no surprises, and that was the surprise I valued. She met Ava after a Tuesday cross-country meet and did not try too hard, did not register for any instant approval. She simply asked about Ava's classes and listened. I like her, Ava said later as we drove home. She makes you talk in full sentences. I am known to mumble. I joked. On a quiet Sunday, I sat with my bills and realized I was not bracing anymore. The house felt like mine in the way a room becomes yours after you move the furniture the way you like it. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, because of course it was a Tuesday, my phone buzzed again. An unknown number. This is Jordan, I answered. It is Serena, she said. I thought you should know Sabrina is in counseling now. She had a scare with the baby's health, and it woke her up. She is making payments on the medical bills and working overtime at the call center. That is good, I said. I hope she sticks with it. She asked me to tell you she is sorry, Serena said. Not to get you back. She knows that is not possible. She said she is sorry. I sat there, the weight of those words existing without the need for action. Thank you for letting me know, I said. That night, Miles and I watched his favorite team lose a game they should have won, and he turned to me and said, You look different, Dad. Older, I said, and he rolled his eyes. Settled, he said. Like you are not carrying a backpack full of bricks anymore. I set it down, I said, and I'm not picking it up again. A week later, I stood in my backyard with the grill warming and the scent of charcoal threading through the air when a breeze lifted the edge of the old manila folder I had left on the patio table by accident. I looked at the corner of paper showing and felt something curious, gratitude. 7 years earlier, I made a choice I thought was about simplicity. In the end, it saved me. Not just from legal battles, not just for financial ruin, but from years spent trapped in a lie I did not create. Sometimes the best thing that can happen is the truth arriving hard and undeniable before it is too late to reroute your life. I flipped burgers while Ava set out plates, and Miles told a story about a teammate who dunked and hung on the rim until the gym teacher threatened to call his mother. Do not be that teammate, I said. I am a gentleman, he said, trying not to grin. Naomi walked into the yard through the side gate with a small container of her grandmother's potato salad. I brought the real star of the show, she said. You did, I said, taking it from her and setting it on the table. We should say our thanks now, in case the kids start eating before Grace. We do not stand a chance, she said, and she was right. Ava was already eyeing the bowl. After dinner, Naomi and I sat on the deck while the children went inside. I like it here, she said, not meaning the deck or the zip code, but the space I had carved for my life. Me too, I said. The next morning, I got an email from Reginald with a final scan document attached. All filings complete, he wrote. You are free and clear. I replied with a simple, thank you. There was nothing else to say. A few days later, I parked in a client's driveway in Cary, waiting for them to arrive for a final walkthrough, and my phone rang again, a number I did not recognize. I answered. Jordan, the voice said, careful and controlled. It is Anthony. What do you need? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. To tell you I apologize to my wife, Anthony said. I am in counseling. I am trying to be a better man. I am sorry for my part in this. You did not deserve any of it. Apology accepted, I said, because it cost me nothing to accept what had no bearing on my forward motion. Thank you, he said, relief making his voice thinner. I hope you are well. I am, I said. You take care of your family. After the call, I stepped out of the car and looked up at the house with its clean windows and quiet promise. The clients pulled in, a couple who had argued about paint colors but held hands when they thought I was not looking. I unlocked the door and let them into the next chapter of their lives. That night, as I closed my own front door, the house took a deep breath with me. There was no ghost of a performance in the living room, no stage smile, no rearranged coffee table as a theater prop. There was only furniture where I liked it, shoes by the mat, and a kitchen light I had forgotten to turn off. My phone buzzed on the counter. A message from Naomi. Book club ended early. Want to walk around the block and talk about why everyone secretly dislikes the book. Always, I replied. We walked, and we talked, and we laughed at lines that tried too hard in a novel that did not trust readers to understand subtlety. We fell quiet as we passed houses with porch lights and bicycles tipped against hedges. I do not believe in fairy tales, Naomi said, but I believe in work that is chosen and shared. I do too, I said, and I meant it. The next weekend, Ava and I visited an open house in Chapel Hill just for fun, and she pointed at a staircase and said, when I sell houses, I'm going to wear comfortable shoes, not those heels that get stuck in the grass. And I laughed so fully the listing agent grinned at us from across the room. Sunday evening, Miles came over with laundry and a request for my chili recipe, and I put him to work chopping onions while he told me about a professor he hoped to study under next fall. Somewhere between the sound of the knife on the cutting board and the scent of cumin rising from the pan, I realized that my life, the one I had built once and then rebuilt better, felt like a house that had passed inspection. Not perfect, not fragile, sound. A week later, my phone rang at lunchtime. It was Serena again, her voice steady but softer than before. She is settling into a routine, Serena said. The baby is healthy. She has a small support group now. She is not asking about you anymore. I think she finally let go. I'm glad for the baby, I said. I'm glad she's getting help. I thought you would want to know, Serena said. Whatever you may think of her, she is trying. Thank you, I said again, and meant it. That evening, I sat on the couch with a stack of listing agreements and a pen. I signed my name in steady strokes. The house hummed around me with the quiet noises of a place at rest. The tick of the thermostat, the distant murmur of a television in the neighbor's living room, the whisper of leaves against the windows. If you had asked me a year earlier to describe what peace sounds like, I would not have known. Now I did. It sounds like knowing who you are and who stands with you. It sounds like your children telling you they are proud. It sounds like a woman whose laughter makes your shoulders drop. More than that, it sounds like truth landing where it should. I put the pen down, stood, and turned off the kitchen light I had forgotten again. I walked down the hall, pausing at the door of the room that had once been set like a stage and now was just a living room. Ours, mine, quiet. Pausing there, I remembered the first 3 seconds of confusion when Sabrina announced her surprise, and how quickly clarity followed. I remembered the manila folder, the way paper can weigh more than it should when it carries your escape. I remembered the steady voice of my attorney, the steady hands of my son on a basketball, the steady heartbeat of a house that will not lie to you if you learn how to listen. The truth, in the end, had done what truth always does. It had set me free before more years could be spent in the shadow of a performance. I went to bed without checking my phone again, because there was nothing back there for me anymore, only the road ahead, lit enough by the people beside me and the person I had decided to be. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.